My name is Jessica. I'm 45 years old, and after years of fighting my way through the legal world, I am now a senior partner at law firm name. Every day, I put on tailored suits and high heels, moving between the firm courtrooms and high-level meetings, using my expertise and judgment to secure the best outcomes for my clients. To outsiders, I am decisive, unstoppable woman who never breaks. But only I know that beneath that seemingly unshakable exterior is a heart that has been torn apart by my own family. Growing up, my parents' preference for sons over daughters was like an unbridgeable gap between us. My younger brother, David, was the center of their world. Everything revolved around him. If he wanted a toy, they bought it without hesitation. If he got into trouble, they protected him no matter what. And me, I was invisible. I studied hard, earned top grades, and waited hoping, just once, to hear them say they were proud of me. But all I ever got was, why does a girl need to study so much? You should spend more time taking care of your brother. When it was time to choose a college major, I fell in love with law. I wanted to build a career in it. I wanted to become something. But my parents strongly opposed it. My mother tried to persuade me gently. Jessica, law is too hard. A girl should choose something stable, like accounting. My father was more direct. If you insist on studying law, don't expect us to pay for your tuition. But I didn't back down. I worked part-time jobs, saved every dollar I could, paid for my own prep courses, and eventually earned a scholarship to a top law school. I got in on my own. After graduation, I joined the firm I had always dreamed of. I started from the bottom, endless nights, buried in case files, double-checking every detail, standing in court, arguing point after point, and slowly, step by step, I made it to senior partner. But as my income grew, so did my family's demands. When my brother wanted to start a business, my parents told me to fund it. When my sister Emily chased fashion and luxury brands, she came to me whenever she ran out of money. I became their ATM. Over and over again, I gave them what they wanted, just to earn a single moment of recognition, a single hint of love. Recently, I took on a massive international commercial dispute worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It was critical for both the firm and my career, so I pushed myself to the limit. For months, I slept no more than 3 or 4 hours a night. Days were spent strategizing with my team and meeting clients. Nights were spent alone in my office, reviewing endless stacks of documents. That night, the office was completely silent. The only sounds were my keyboard and the faint hum of the desk lamp. I was focused on a crucial piece of evidence when suddenly a sharp pain exploded in my head. The words on the page blurred. My body started to sway. I reached for my phone to call for help, but my hand only brushed against a pile of documents. And then everything went black. When I woke up, I was in the ICU. The air smelled of disinfectant. Machines beeped steadily in the quiet room. I slowly opened my eyes. My mother was sitting nearby, staring at her phone, frowning. She muttered to herself, "Emily's going to that fashion event, and she still can't decide what to wear." After a while, she finally noticed I was awake. She looked up at me briefly and said, "Good, you're awake. Your sister has an important event next week. Your father and I need a helper, so we won't have much time to take care of you. Just call a nurse if you need anything." Then she stood up, adjusted her clothes, and walked out. In that moment, something inside me shattered. It hurt so much I could barely breathe. "Mom," I called weakly. But she didn't turn back. Over the next few days, I lay there alone, empty, numb. My sister, Emily, came once. She stood at the door, barely stepping inside. "Hey, you being sick won't affect the money for my event, right? I'm still planning to buy that limited edition dress." I looked at her, said nothing, just closed my eyes. She left soon after. Just when I felt like I was being swallowed by darkness, a nurse handed me a visitor log. She smiled and said, "Ms. Jessica, there's a man who comes every day. He doesn't go in, but he sits outside for a long time." Confused, I opened the log. One name stood out, Thomas Anderson. I had never heard that name before. Who was he? Why was he here? Every single day. Finally, one afternoon, sunlight streamed into the room, and I saw him. He was in his 50s, tall, well-built, dressed in a perfectly tailored dark suit. His hair was streaked with gray, but his eyes were deep and gentle. He walked in slowly, hesitating, then sat beside my bed. After a long silence, he looked at me. His eyes were filled with something I couldn't quite name. And then he said softly, "Jessica, I'm your father." My eyes widened instantly. That's impossible. My father is Richard Green. Who are you? He took a deep breath and began to tell me a story buried for over 30 years. Back then, my mother had been in love with him. He was a young architect, talented, but poor. When she became pregnant with me, her family strongly opposed their relationship. They didn't think he could provide a stable life. Under that pressure, she chose to marry Richard, and she never told anyone about the pregnancy. For decades, he had been searching for me, but he never found a trace. Until recently, by chance, he finally learned who I was. And when he heard I was hospitalized, he rushed here immediately. Every day, he waited outside my room, too afraid to disturb me, too unsure of how to face me. As I listened, my emotions tangled into something overwhelming. All these years, I thought I wasn't loved because I wasn't edgy enough, but the truth was something else entirely. I looked at this man a stranger, and yet somehow not a stranger at all. Tears streamed down my face. He reached out as if to touch my hair, but stopped halfway. His eyes filled with hesitation and guilt. I looked at my father, a wave of bitterness rising in my chest. "Dad, all these years, you knew how unfair Mom was to me, and you never once tried to stop it. The way you favored my brother and sister made me feel like I didn't even belong in this family. And now I know I've been calling the wrong man father my entire life." His face turned pale instantly. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. My mother froze for a moment, then said hesitantly, You know? Nada. Yes, I know everything. Thomas Anderson is my real father. All these years, he's been looking for me. When I was in the hospital, he was the one quietly staying by my side. And where were you? My mother lowered her head. After a long silence, she said softly, "Jessica, I know I was wrong, but things are already like this. What do you want?" I looked at her, my voice steady. "I don't want anything. I just want you to recognize what you've done. From now on, stop treating me like an ATM and stop ignoring how I feel." But change didn't take on me easily. In the weeks that followed, my mother would still occasionally hint that I should buy things for my sister. My brother would still come to me whenever he ran into trouble, as if it were only natural. And every time, I refused. I told them clearly that I would no longer give unconditionally. My mother argued with me several times because of it. She said I had changed, that I was no longer obedient. As for my father, although he no longer demanded things from me as firmly as before, his attitude remained vague, as if he still hadn't fully realized how much their behavior had hurt me. During this tense period with my family, my relationship with Thomas gradually grew closer. He would often invite me out to dinner, take me to his studio, and tell me about his life over the years, and how much he had missed me. There was always warmth in his eyes and regret. For the first time in my life, I felt something I had never felt before. Being cared for. With his encouragement, I began to re-examine my life. I stopped pouring all of my energy into work and into meeting my family's demands. I adjusted my schedule, delegated non-essential work to my team, and finally made time for myself for things I actually enjoyed. Reading, traveling. On one trip, I came across a book about family relationships. There was one sentence in it that stayed with me. True reconciliation is not about forgetting the pain of the past, but about accepting it, letting go of resentment, and starting over. After I returned home, I decided to give my family one more chance. I asked my parents to sit down with me and talk. Calmly, I said, "Mom, Dad, I know change is hard, but I hope we can try it together. I don't want to keep arguing, and I don't want to be treated like an ATM anymore. We're a family. We should support and understand each other." My mother's eyes flickered with guilt. She reached for my hand and said, "Jessica, I know I was wrong. I've been thinking a lot lately. I'll change." My father nodded as well. "Jessica, I realize my mistakes too. I hope you can forgive us and this Jimmy." They really did start to change. My mother stopped asking me for money so casually. She even began to care about my life. My father started talking to me more, expressing concern, in his own way. After seeing my parents change, my brother and sister also stopped taking from me as if it were their right. Our relationship still had its occasional friction, but I knew we were slowly moving toward something better. As for Thomas and me, we began to make up for all the lost time. He celebrated my achievements with me. He stood by me when I faced difficulties. And now I am no longer the Jessica who struggled alone within her own family. I've learned how to love myself, and I've learned how to find balance between loving others and being loved. After everything, after the storm that tore through my life, finally saw my rainbow. And for the first time, I was truly able to shine again.